Okay, welcome everybody to our April 14th Village Board meeting. This will be the first time that we've televised or broadcast this in a live session. Before we get started, I'll have Trustee Lewitt go through the rules for how this is going to work.
Pledge. Do the pledge. Okay. Do you want to do the pledge first or me?
You do first.
Okay. So this is our first Facebook Live meeting that we've ever held here in the village of Rhinebeck, and we're doing it in compliance with Governor Cuomo's executive order in terms of proper social distancing and also carrying on the business that needs to be carried on for the village. Anyone can watch this broadcast on Facebook, but without a Facebook account. You can simply decline to log in and you can watch. But if you'd like to comment, you must log into Facebook, and then you'll be able to comment. Now, those comments are fully public, so they'll be open to all. Everybody will see them, so you should know what's going to happen. We will not tolerate any abusive or inappropriate comments, and that will result in the poster being blocked immediately. Trustee Rossi and Nuneker are not in this meeting room this evening, but they are joining us via the Facebook Live link. Last thing is there is a delay between the transmission from this location to what you see on your screens, so we will periodically be pausing to let viewers catch up with what's happened here in the during the meeting. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gary.
John Rossi said he's out the front door and can't get in. I unlocked it.
Okay. I will look. Okay.
Okay, at this time I'd like to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John is saying he's back home, but it's coming back, so we need to make space for John.
You have to sit in the chair. Okay, to start the meeting off, the first thing on the agenda is our Village of Rhinebeck 2020-2021 budget. We will have a public comment and public hearing session. To start off the budget session, I'd like to read the following statement. First, about our meeting. Welcome to the Village of Rhinebeck first virtual board meeting. Yet another sign of the radical changes to our lives since we last met. COVID-19 has forced us to keep our distance, but it has also brought us together as a community as we all work to prevent the spread of this virus. This crisis is challenging us, but it is also bringing out the best of us. And the realization is that we are all in this together. I want to open this meeting with a heartfelt thank to those people who are right now working to keep our village running, to serve our residents. They are our first responders, our police, our EMTs, the village staff, and our elected officials, healthcare workers, volunteers at food pantries, restaurant owners, and workers. These people who are staffing essential businesses and everyone who is contributing to our community during this fight. At our last meeting, as we were first learning about the challenges ahead, EMS Captain Chrissy Amy gave us an important briefing on the coronavirus. 1 month later, the strategy of containment and mitigation is working. We are practicing social distancing, as you can see here tonight at our village board meeting. We are shopping less and wearing masks when we go out. This has had an enormous impact on our personal lives, local businesses, and has challenged the face of the village. Health officials say it is working, but we must not stop now. While the data is heading in the right direction, relaxing our efforts could lead to a resurgence. But you all know I'm a data person, and right now there is no way I can predict when we can start to return to normal. All I can say is that it's working, and we all need to stay the course. On a personal note, I would like to thank everyone who has reached out to my family during our personal struggle. Brenda is home now and recuperating. So many people reached out with notes, calls, and emails that meant so much to all of us as we struggled with the fear and isolation as well as this medical fight. And I cannot tell you how much your kindness and concern meant to me. We are so lucky to live in this strong, very supportive community which has pulled together more than ever during this difficult time. Thank you. So with that, I'd like to have a motion to go into the public comment and public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
And let's give a pause to see if we get votes from Trustee Niniker or Rossi.
He wasn't there.
So, just as a matter of course, Brian Niniker has voted aye, and Trustee Rossi has decided to attend in person. So, I don't know, okay.
So we just took a vote on opening the public hearing and public comment section.
Okay. So, in this case, actually, I'm just going to ask for clarity, we should do a roll call vote, just so the governor asked us to do that. So, Martina, will you call the trustees for a roll call vote? Because we're going to do roll call votes online.
Okay.
Okay, so just call the trustees' name for this vote.
Paul Korzak.
Aye.
Mayor Gary Bassett.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Blute.
Aye.
Trustee John Rossi.
Aye, nice to meet you.
And I have an aye from Trustee Niniker.
Okay. So we're into the public comment. I'd like to read a statement first about our budget. The Village of Rhinebeck, the 2021 budget. The village is legally required to adopt a budget for the fiscal year beginning June 1st. Therefore, in order to meet our deadline, we have continued to work on the budget during this time. I want to give you an update of where we stand, because the village is heading into the future in a strong financial shape. The 2020-2021 budget has no tax increase and is below the 1.78% tax cap. Meanwhile, we will continue our investments in paving our roads, replacing old equipment, as well as increased engineering for streetscape and updates in technology at Village Hall. These items will make our systems more efficient for our employees, officials, and our residents. We will continue our commitment in pursuing grants to pay for infrastructure improvements and historical preservation. Another primary objective of ours is to make an investment in our employees, and these are wages and benefits, as well as a minor increase in compensation for our board. These public servants are critical assets to the village, and their dedication has never been more evident than during our recent COVID-19 crisis. On that subject, the budget also contains an increase in our contingency fund in anticipation of possible unplanned expenses as we work to contain the virus. We are holding our public hearing today on April 14th, which is being live streamed from Village Hall, and we wish those to watch it from there. Residents will be able to make comments and interact with the board. Thank you. So having that, I'd like to turn the agenda over to introducing the budget to our treasurer, Karen McLaughlin.
Thank you. Good evening. The tentative budget proposed for the appropriations is $2,470,422. Revenue, $975,350, leaving a tax levy of $1,675,072. The assessed value of $403,122,171 calculates to a tax rate of $4.16 per thousand. To go in a little bit further with what Mayor Bassett has said, I prepared a few charts. The first one is the budget expenditures. This gives you a percentage of the departments, the streets, the police, the general fund, fire, long-term debt, planning, building and zoning, court, the sidewalks, parks and trees, and attorney and engineers. So this gives you an indication of the percentages broken down by department that are presented in the budget.
tell you when it's sharp and tough.
Okay.
Now you're up.
Okay, so this next chart shows a trend. It gives us 2016-17 to 2016-17, 17-18, and 18-19 are actual figures. 2019-20 and 2021 are budget figures. So this also lets you see by department the trends following the last 5 years. And my final chart is okay. My final chart shows the budget 2021 tax levy and other revenue. And this one is very interesting because as it does show a large portion of property tax being 68%, it is actually very low. It's a lot lower than many other municipalities. We have other revenues from mortgage tax, state revenue, CHIPS, and grants. We have police court and fines. We have public safety services for other governments that weighs in at 11% of our revenues. We have department revenue and licensing and permitting, rental of real property, and that is our cell tower rental and interest earnings. And then we have non-property tax distribution by the county and franchise fees, which is another 8%. So given this gives you a little bit of a visual of the budget, revenues, and the expenses.
Okay. So,
Okay. At this time, we'll be taking public comment. Trustee Lewitt, is there any comment coming in?
not yet.
While we're waiting, I could also report that the water department budget is coming in at $966,049, and the sewer budget is coming in at $816,782. And these are very small increases to both of these budgets, and neither of them will result in a rate increase at this time.
Do you want to make a last call for comments?
Is there anybody who would like to comment on our Facebook page? How many users do we have?
18.
Martina, do you have the two comments that were emailed to us, please?
Green, by the way, was having trouble connecting. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got it? Okay.
In my inbox, I actually only have one email. By Eileen Oshinsky. Can I go ahead and do that?
Yeah, can you speak up, please?
I think she's maybe come over here real quick.
Sorry?
She's not mic'd, is she?
You're not, she's not liked. That's it.
Here. Maybe switch trustee Portia from out here. This is my,
Alright, so the first emailed concern that I have would be from an Eileen Oshinsky she had told as well that she had said that the New York Times has reported that people are concerned about leaf blowers possibly assisting in the spread of the virus. She wasn't sure if that was true or not, but she thinks that leaf blowers should possibly be considered banned for the time being, given the current outbreak. She did say that many other residents she believes would agree, and she says, thank you for considering this at the meeting.
And then there's one from Paul Higgins and Howie Trout. Do you have those?
I don't have
Oh.
those.
I don't really resent to it. Wasn't something I'll redo it. We have an email from Howie Trout. Dear Village Board, I am writing to you to express my opposition to your proposed increase of your salaries. As you know, I served proudly on the Village Board for 10 years. I viewed my tenure as a way to give back to my community, not as a means to enrich myself. So it is not a lot of money, but it sends a wrong message to many who are volunteer for our community. It is also just not a good time to give ourselves a raise for a few more reasons. Many people are out of work, and as we work our way through this pandemic, also with recent reassessment of our properties, it's unclear what our property taxes will be next year. Please read this in the public record. I can't attend tonight's meeting. Thank you, Howie Trout. We have another email message from Paul Higgins to Mayor Bassett and Village Trustee. This is no time to give yourselves an increase. There are over 16 million Americans out of work and millions more who are hurting, including many in our community. It's unconscionable, in fact, immoral for you to even consider increasing your salaries. Since I can't be with you at the meeting this evening, please read my comments publicly during the public hearing of the budget. Thanks. I have no other emails.
And I have no additional comments here on the Facebook page.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to close the public comment section.
Second.
Second.
Martina, you make a roll call, please.
Yes, Trustee Korzak.
Aye.
Mayor Gary Bassett.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Rick Lewitt.
Aye.
And Trustee John Rossi.
Aye. And I'm waiting for a response from Brett. Brett. Aye. Trustee Unicorn votes aye.
Very good. Okay. This time I'd like to make a motion to accept the Village of Rhinebeck 2020-2021 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, Brant is probably typing, right?
Okay. We'll wait.
We will wait.
Thanks for unlocking the door. I was going to start throwing stones.
I went down and I didn't see you out there.
I can't tell if he's working or not. I don't have any information. Oh, okay. I have a comment from Trustee Nuneker. I do not wish to accept the budget. I wanted to get a sufficient raise for one member of the water department, also wastewater. Okay.
Oh, Brant sent a, I don't know if he's still typing her?
I can't tell. There's no not like a text where you can see the thing.
You can't respond back.
Only via, I think Gary can online, but only via the feed.
Okay.
How long do we wait?
Okay. Brent has continued. He said, Trustee Nickers continued, there's also not enough for paving, street vacuuming, storm drains, driveway aprons, all a part of vast repaving. And I, being the person who's responsible for the street budget, I can respond to that. We've moved some of the line items around for paving, street cleaning, and vacuuming. Specifically, we are planning on street cleaning and vacuuming storm drains. We have a regular line. We've moved it actually to a line that we're thinking really of the streets maintenance line, which now includes things like the storm drains and the vacuuming and all the things that we need to do, putting lines on the street, all the things we need to do to keep the streets safe and in good condition. As for the paving budget, we are making a shift. This year, we are bonding to pave a large section of the village at Chestnut, Mulberry, Platt, and Livingston Streets, and this basically follows the path of the current water project. So given that we're basically doing a couple of years worth of work in 1 year, we decided to cut the paving budget for 1 year. We also have a fund from the state called the CHIPS Fund, and another fund which contribute about $60,000 a year, which we can use to continue to do storm drain repair and other work on the roads as we need it. But as we're we're chewing up a couple of years worth of our contribution to the paving in this one big push, we decided that we would not do additional allocation for paving. So, I do have a comment from, Well, I have a comment from Chrissy Amy. She'd just like to know if Trustee Nooner can join the meeting via Zoom. And the reason why we're doing this arrangement is that we're working on a balance between security, if you've heard of the phenomena of Zoom bombing, where people take over people's meetings, and ease of interaction. So we've actually opted for a little bit higher level of security and the ability to broadcast to the general public on our Facebook page, which many of our residents already use. So it's a compromise. A Zoom meeting would be another possibility, but it does have some serious security issues. So that's why we're not doing it. I do have a comment from Trustee Nooner. It's difficult to respond, he says. We do not know what we are faced with storm drain repairs and driveway aprons. Email from our engineer today indicates many required repairs. And what Trustee Nooner is referring to is that we are paving, as we pave Livingston, Platt, and Chestnut Streets, we're going to be milling down the roads to their dirt and then refilling them back up with binder and asphalt. And the surface of the road will probably come out to be somewhere close to where the current surface of the road is in terms of its height. The one issue that we understand that we're going to have is the interface between people's driveways and the road. Some people's driveways are low, some people's driveways are high, and we're still working on a way to how we're going to fund and pay for taking care of these remediations on the individual driveways. That is still not determined. And then, what do we have? So I have another comment from Trustee Nooner. What do we have budgeted for Alan and Scott on an hourly basis? Do you want to take that, Alan?
I believe it was 18 for Mr. Bateman and Scott, I don't know.
Here, got it. And I have people by their numbers.
Yeah, I don't know them by number.
I have to go off over here.
Okay.
We can figure it out. The wastewater treatment plant operator number 26 went from 1457 to 1707. And wastewater treatment water plant, I had it backwards. Water treatment plant operator number 26 went from 1457 to 18 as we had approved in the budget. And then I don't know which one is Scott. I'm going to make the assessment that it's wastewater treatment plant number 27, number 27, who went from 1457 to 1707.
And I can say that this was part of a program. The village took a look at our pay scale for some employees and realized that we felt that some of our new employees were not really being paid a competitive wage as we've gone out and looked to hire employees in the open market. So we thought, as we are hiring some new people, we felt it imperative to bring our current employees into line with our new hires, and also what we consider to be much more, something closer to a living wage.
And I do want to comment that the water treatment plant operator is a 20% increase.
Right. So, Trustee Nunaker says that Public Works Director, myself, and the Water Plant Chief did argue for $20 for both of those positions, for them to go to $20 a month. Do you want to talk about discussion, or?
No, is your committee want to?
Okay, sure. There was a committee that met to review the salaries, and it was decided, as we're looking over the global scale, that the $20 increase from the $14 was too much, and actually was somewhat out of line with the other pay scales that we were doing. However, these individuals do have an opportunity to create additional certifications for themselves, and that would also create an opportunity for their pay scale to be raised as they have additional certification. So in looking at these numbers, the compromise was made that the numbers, their raises would bring them into line with other members of other departments, and when they should and when they get their additional certifications, additional salary increases will be considered.
I have no other emails either. Okay, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to accept the Village of Rhinebeck 2020-2021 budget.
So moved.
Ms. Baker, we still have some other
Oh, wait,
comment?
Sure, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I was just trying to be respectful to.
all right.
Oh,
Sorry.
Do we have more comment?
A lot of good things with this budget, particularly the inroads that we made in terms of our employees and their salaries. Very positive.
You're going to need to go up to close to the line.
I'll bring a chair with me.
Right.
I want to invade your space now.
I'm back further.
No. So a lot of very good things happened with the budget, there's no question about it, and in particular, the inroads for the salaries. But I had some reservations, and I echoed a lot of what Grant prepared and shared with the mayor and the trustees, which I think had a lot of merit. Look, the kind of the deal breaker for me with the budget is the added compensation that we're seeking for the trustees of the board. It's not something that I'm supporting, and that's why I can't support the budget. I'm here as a holdover. We know that, so it's perhaps I don't really have any skin in the game. I'm only going to be here another 90 days, so what difference does it make whether there's an increase or not? But I will say that for the 90 days I'm here, I'm prepared to forego my salary. And I think it's that draconian of a time that we find ourselves in, and I think that's the message that I'd like to send. I'm not asking anybody else to do the same thing, but I would ask the board to think about the 10% increase. So that's the extent of my comment. Okay, Paul.
Okay, we have a first and we have a second on the budget. At this time, I'd like to ask the clerk to take roll call.
Trustee Korzak.
Aye.
Mayor Gary Bassett,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Blewett,
Aye.
Trustee Rossi,
Nay.
And Trustee Nuneker has endorsed what Trustee Rossi said, but we're waiting for his vote. Nay. Trustee Nuneker voted nay.
At this time, we have a majority vote for the Village of Rhinebeck 2021 budget, and therefore it is adopted at a flat tax increase for the last 3 years. I'd like to thank you, the board, and Karen, our treasurer, for working so diligently, especially during a very difficult time when it was hard to meet and hard to get together, but we were able to work collaboratively on this budget with all the department heads, and everything was put together from that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the department reports. In lieu of keeping our meetings to essential business, except for, in lieu of keeping our meetings to essential business, we will just enter into the record the department reports that we have, except for the treasurer's report, who will read the budget amendments, and then the water department, which is Trustee Nuneker, has comments that I hope you're typing in now while we're going over the first part. Trustee Nuneker for Highly Road generator bid and the Highly Road landscaping bid. All the rest we will just have read into the record and be on the cloud.
So just operationally, Brad, if you type that in, I can look at several squares, and if you put it in, I'll hold it till the appropriate moment, and I can read as much as you need to type it.
Treasurer's report, Karen.
Okay, the treasurer's report is for the period ending March 31st. The tax collector account ended the month with $166,803.36. The general fund ended the month with $217,638.69. Water fund, $380,323.82. And the sewer fund ended the month with $577,401.52. Our New York class liquid investments yielded an average of 1.14% this past month, which is, considering the downfall of everything, it's very good. The vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $98,951.40. In the water fund, $29,284.98. In the sewer fund, $50,626.17. We have one payment to make for the Historic District grant in the amount of $5,000. And we have a bond interest-only payment for the police station of $9,750. And of the water main project bills for $137,059.50. An operating statement is provided for the revenue and expenditures through April 14th. The water and wastewater billing and adjustments have been reviewed and signed off by the water and wastewater department liaisons and are presented for authorization.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the water and the wastewater.
Second.
The April...
Wait 1 second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll wait for Trustee Nuneker. We can record his vote when it comes in. Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. I'd also like to report that the April water and wastewater billings were deferred and will be due May 25th due to the reduced staffing. The New York State Fiscal Stress Monitoring System, they do a grading of municipalities every year. The village has again obtained a no designation for fiscal stress and scored well on the New York State Fiscal Stress Monitoring System with no trends toward fiscal stress at this time. A Wax Fleet gas card for the fire department. The chief asked me to request authorization for a gas credit card only for the fire department. So they're not going out and doing it and coming back to get reimbursed for it. It is a government card and it complies with all the government procurement. And their procurement would be the same as with anybody that used the village card. So,
I have a question on it. They fill up at the town highway garage, and then we pay the town highway garage. So the gas card would be used for extenuating trips?
I think so. I think when they go on training, or if they needed to do like any of their equipment, that they were on site. So it wouldn't be for regular use.
So I just would like to make that note that it's only for trips outside of the area for training
Correct.
purposes.
Is there, I assume there's a logging of all those trips and purposes?
Yes. They
And that's
fill it
what
on
I-
a report.
Yeah, okay.
And it's from the state of New York League.
So we can motion on that. I'd like to make a motion to accept the use of the fire department for the purpose of external trips outside of the immediate area for the use of the gas card.
Second.
Right.
Trustee Kozak?
John, oh,
Yeah.
Ah.
Trustee
Oh,
Rossi?
I heard second.
Trustee Rossi?
Aye.
Mayor Bassett?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Lewis?
Aye. And I do have a comment from Chief Kyle Amy that is correct, that this is only for use on the trips.
Thank you, Chief.
okay.
And Trustee Nuker votes aye.
Is that,
I have one more item. So I just also wanted to report to the board that the bond anticipation note for additional funding for the water project and road work in the amount of $450,000. The sale date is April 21st, and this matures on January 29th of 2021, which coincides with the $1.7 million BAN on the same date. A portion can be rolled over into the EFC long-term funding, as well as a balance of that converted to a longer-term bond prior to the maturity of that BAN on January 29th. So I just wanted to let the board know that they do have that option. It doesn't all need to be rolled over into the EFC funding. So that is in motion, as in the next 2 months, we will be getting a lot more bills from the contractor for this project that we're doing. And then finally, I have some budget amendments, mostly in the general fund. I have one in the water fund and in the sewer fund. I just have one to ask the board to transfer from capital, to use that to transfer it into sewer equipment for the grading on the sledge tank and the 2 gate valve mounts.
So, and just for clarification, this is out of the wastewater treatment plant capital fund, correct?
Correct.
That's just-
The transfer to, transfer to capital, so
Transfer.
at the end of the year, instead of transferring it to capital, they're choosing to use it currently. I don't know if you want me to read all of the
No, we'll work with it.
ones.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's budget amendments that will be posted.
Seconded.
Trustee Kozak?
Aye.
Trustee Rossi?
Aye.
Mayor Bassett?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Lewis?
Aye.
That's all I have.
Trustee Luniker?
Trustee Nuker votes aye.
Okay. All right, so we will be moving on to the water treatment
Okay.
report from Trustee Luniker. I assume, Trustee Lloyd, you will have something to read.
I have, yes. So I'm going to give a quick preamble, and Brant, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that at the suggestion of either the county or the state, a number of trees around the tank, the water tank at Hiley Road needed to be removed, and it caused a bit of an eyesore. So Trustee Uniker has gone out and he attempted to obtain 3 bids, but he says our village engineer has highly recommended Barb Retzano to do the landscape design for Hiley Road water tank. It's a multi-acre parcel. She will design screening, vegetation, including pollinators, and she will work with the neighbors to create a plan. She is in possession of a survey and will supervise the plantings. She has bid $33,200 for the services, a good price. Trustee Uniker makes a motion to approve her bid at $3,200. I'll second.
Trustee Corzo?
Aye.
Wait, any discussion? I just like clarification.
No, sure.
So the discussion is, this is for a design. So, right, I just want to clarify that it's for design only.
Yes, it says landscape design for the Hiley Road water tank.
Because this needs to be shared with the residents up there as we go through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Corzo?
Aye.
Trustee Rossi?
Aye.
Mayor Bassett?
Aye.
Trustee Wood?
Aye. Also, it's for the supervision of the plantings included in that, but the plantings are, the design is still to be done.
Okay.
Ad-libbing it, but I think aye. Trustee Uniker votes aye.
Does he have anything to, Trustee Nunaker, do you have anything to say about the generator, which is also on the agenda?
That's it. She gives and it takes away. Trustee Uniker says that the bids needed to be refreshed as per Jonathan. So those are currently off then.
Okay. There's nothing there. Very good.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to accept the department reports for those that are on record and those that were presented.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Trustee Corzo?
Aye.
Trustee Rossi?
Aye.
Mayor Bassett?
Aye.
Trustee Wood?
Aye. So I just want to make a little editorial comment. People are free to comment on the Facebook page, but this is not a public comment part of the meeting. So I'll be reading Trustee Uniker's comments. Other people may, within, as long as they maintain the boundaries, are welcome to put some other comments in, but I'm not going to be reading them into the record as if this were a meeting when we would not be taking comments on the record.
Okay. Moving on. Committee reports. Trustee Wood, do you have a tree committee report?
Tree committee did not meet as per the governor's rules.
Parks committee. Do you have a Parks committee?
Not at this time.
And the Climate Smart Committee has met, but we had no report. Now it's gone to the next order of business, which is our special request, which is the farmer's market proposal. The board has seen the request from the Rhinebeck Farmers Market, which has submitted it to us, but I'd also worked with our county and our county Department of Health, and both of them have signed off, and in fact, this report, or what they presented, is now being shared with all of the other municipalities in Dutchess County as a model for other farmers markets to use as part of going forward. I want to just note that farmers markets are considered essential businesses during this time. So it's important that we do as much as we can to help our local farmers succeed in these very troubling times. What the farmers market is proposing is to use more of a municipal parking lot. What they have outlined in the report is to not only use the existing back row, but to expand into the middle row and possibly up to the side entrance coming in. So essentially the only thing that would be left would be where the handicap parking area is today. They offered also, if not doing those two, to use the bigger lower area down off of the side, back behind Aurora, and in that little parking lot back there. In talking with the farmers market, we think it's more appropriate for them to use the whole municipal parking lot, and we would close the municipal parking lot off during the farmers market, which is scheduled to open on May 2nd. Having closing off the municipal lot, except for the handicap parking spots, would allow then a way for them to expand, maintain social distancing for all of their displays, and also keep the people who are attending at a much broader spacing to maintain social distancing for people coming in. They plan to manage people coming in, and they also would like to plan of having a curbside pickup. Along with the request, they would like to know if they could open early as possibly April 19th or April 26th, all right, to do the setup. Each one of their booths would be partitioned off so the public would not have access to the food inside the booth, and they would have to pay either with exact change or by credit card during the transactions. They would also reserve a special time for those people who cannot make it, like those who are immune compromised or expectant mothers, that they could do their shopping at the farmers market between 10 a.m. and 10:40. There will be additional 2 hand washing stations and hand sanitizers there to supplement. In addition to the hand sanitizers, gloves, cleaning supplies will be available throughout the market for vendors and shoppers as needed. I want to make specifically this is going to be for food only. All of the other displays will not be allowed. In other words, there will be no selling of anything other than food. There will be no music displays or no other interactions to draw a crowd to a particular booth to maintain this spreading out. There will be no benches that we put out for seating. There will be no sample food or drinks during this time. And all vendors will have chalk lines or similar markings to illustrate distance between themselves and shoppers, as well as any line that they may accrue. Incoming shoppers will queue up at 60 feet apart at the market entrance if the interior market capacity needs to be restricted. Interior shopping capacity to be determined per layout, recommending more than 20 to 30 people based on the normal layout. Okay? Upon review and the Rhinebeck Farmers Market Management Board discretion, shoppers will sign up for a shopping block, and a limited number will be allowed to shop during each 20-minute period. Shoppers would queue outside the market entrance within 6-foot intervals, and as I mentioned, curbside pickup for pre-order and prepaid items will be available and coordinated among the vendors and the shoppers. We'd also like to remind people, stay at home if you are sick or feeling sick or exposed to someone who has symptoms or a diagnosis. Exact language to be determined from continuous CDC, New York State Department of Health, and anybody else, and other officiating businesses. They will supply plastic final tablecloths, beach cleaning solutions, food-grade gloves, hand sanitizers as we talked. They will be frequently wiping down all the surfaces, encouraging more pre-order and prepaid of items, prepackaged food items whenever possible, and vendors will have access to, as I mentioned, the hand washing stations. Okay, that is an overview of the Rhinebeck Farmers Market, which I would very happy to say that they did a great job. Mm-hmm. They worked with the New York State Ag and Markets to put this plan together, also consulted with other markets in the area to make sure that they were compliant with what they were doing. And I totally support the effort that they're doing. And I would like to recommend that we do close off the municipal parking lot for this venue while the restrictions are in place, and that everybody else will have to park out on the street and not use the visible parking.
Okay,
Just a
wait,
question
wait,
about-
one sec. Mayor, we do have somebody who's, I think, violated our rules of decorum. And if you could please go ahead and block him.
I just had a question about the prescriptions with regard to masks. I said, it says whenever possible, wearing masks. I'm just wondering if that should be stronger and if we need to update that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that rule came out after we submitted this report. I like that, and I will pass that on to the board.
Now, just one other question. So is there any way that we can actually suggest strongly to people who are actually entering the market to be wearing masks as well?
Well, it is now a law, well, it's volunteer for public, but anybody who's participating in looking, they will have to wear masks.
Right.
And it's volunteer for other people, and we would suggest very.
I think we need to make that stronger, that's all. I'm sure they'll cooperate, but I think it's a great job that they, very thoughtfully put together.
Yeah.
So I support it fully.
So really the idea is that they will be able to enforce social distancing within the farmer's market by controlling the
Yes.
number of people and
Right.
setting up the,
Right.
and setting up the.
And the images, Mr. Mayor, in the back of the package, those plastic on it that they had in the attachment, is that intended?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
These images?
They're up on the cloud. And I just,
Oh,
and I just,
that's going to be used of, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. That feels great.
All right, is there any other discussion on the farmer's market that we need to have before we go to vote?
I guess the only question is when do we know when it's appropriate to go back to regular, but I guess not
We
yet.
don't.
Not yet.
We don't.
Okay.
So is the date then fixed? Is it?
Well, they had asked for April 19th or the 26th
So is there?
as a start.
19 seems ambitious.
And I would recommend the 26th just to give us time to notify
Yeah,
people
some time.
and get them out. And we need to create signage to close off the
And that's a
lot.
Sunday, which is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Rhinebeck Farmers Market request for using the municipal lot for this year's farmers market until such restrictions are lifted.
So moved.
Trustee Korzak.
Any-
Aye.
Trustee Rossi.
Aye.
Mayor Bowles.
Aye.
And Trustee Lewitt.
Hi.
Thanks for getting it too, Gary, with the Department of Health.
I think, I think it's very interesting that I know the farmer's market was working very hard to get this done, and then it turned out that they may become the template for other farmer's
No,
markets.
that's what I mentioned.
In the-
They are.
in the region.
They are the template
They
now.
are the template, and so I think, as we said to the outset, it's very good to be supporting our farmers, it's an outlet, time to do it right. Trustee Nunaker votes aye.
Very good.
I did just get an email from Vanessa Bertozzi about the Climate Smart Committee. They did have a report that they submitted. It has been uploaded.
Okay. So we do have a climate smart report that will be posted up on the cloud for everybody to read as part of our report. Thank you, Vanessa. All right. Next is minutes approval.
The foliage.
Pardon?
Foliage report, or is that the foliage report?
Half
Marathon, foliage.
Oh, do we have, I didn't see
Yeah,
that. I'm sorry.
Foliage half,
Let me get back to
half
that.
marathon. Excuse me.
I do think that Pete Dunn has looked at it over at the police department, the
Pardon?
application. I do think that Pete Dunn,
Yeah, I have not received it. I sent it to, this is for the half marathon. What subject is that? Well, I know was that in
Events.
special events.
events?
Yep.
Sorry, I went the wrong one. Fall foliage half marathon?
That's it.
Yes. Yes, I can read it. So you're telling me that we do have police and fire approval?
Police, I don't know about fire. I remember Pete sending an email.
And does this require DOT, Dutchess County Fairgrounds? Yes. So this would require DOT approval as well before we can accept it. So I know that right now the DOT is not approving any of these requests, but this is for the, submitted February 25th. It's called Runaway Inc., and it's by, for a fall foliage half marathon. It's the 10th annual half marathon and 5K, located in Hudson Valley in the village of Rhinebeck, and a portion of proceeds goes to the Northern Dutchess Hospital and and Thompson House. What's the date for it?
It's October 11th of 2020.
October, there it is, October 11th. The event date is October 11th, 2020, set up time 7 a.m., event start time 10 a.m., event end time 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. And I would say we would accept it, given that the restrictions are lifted by enough time that this can be approved and done,
And
correct?
DOT approval.
And we have DOT approval. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept this, given that the conditions are lifted, that an event like this can be held, and we have DOT approval.
Second.
Trustee Corzine.
Aye.
Trustee Rossi.
Aye.
Mayor Bassett.
Aye.
Trustee Lewitt.
Aye.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Have that on minute. All right, now minutes approval. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for March 10th, 2020.
One moment. Trustee Nudiker votes aye.
Thank you.
I keep forgetting. All right, so I have a motion to accept.
I had just a couple of corrections.
We'll get to discussion. Hang on a second.
Second.
Okay, now, any discussion?
I had a couple corrections. If you can, just on page number 2, under handicap accessibility, the discussion, the second sentence, let me make more sense when I read it. The mayor reported, she was asking for clarification on handicap parking lot. The mayor reported that this is on the agenda. He asked if the board would elevate it from the bottom of the agenda to the top of the agenda. Actually, it wasn't Mayor Bassett that made the recommendation, it was myself.
Okay, I can note that.
Page number 3, first paragraph, Walt Higgins is actually Paul Higgins.
A name, first
Name.
name.
Oh, okay.
Paul Higgins. Instead of
Paul, yeah, not Walt.
Okay.
And that's it, Karen.
We got off easy then.
Trustee Corzine.
Aye.
Trustee Rossi.
Aye.
Mayor Bassett.
Aye.
Trustee Lewitt.
Aye.
Grant, wait for Grant.
Okay. I do have a question from Trustee Nudiker votes aye. I do have a question from the public. Will the comments be included in the minutes? The comments here I made on Facebook will be part of the record that's left posted on Facebook, as is the video that's on Facebook. If you'd like to have comments outside of the public comment period, then one should send an email or a letter, which we can then, to either the mayor or the village clerk, which would then be entered into the record for the next meeting, along with correspondence. So we are not formally memorializing comments made on Facebook in the minutes.
Okay. All right, the last thing I'd like to always do is recognize those of our village that are enjoying anniversaries. First, I'd like to say that Darren Bondar, our police department, and Tricia Jackalone, our village court clerk, are now March anniversaries. So thank you for your support and your dedication to the village of Rhinebeck. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Trustee Corzine.
Aye.
Trustee Rossi.
Aye.
Mayor Bassett.
Aye.
Trustee Lewitt.
Aye.
Waiting for Brent.
Right. Yep. Trustee Nudiker votes aye.
Meeting is closed at 8:02. Thank you, everybody, and hope you enjoyed our live presentation.